Hello and welcome to episode 164 of First Geek 411. I'm your host, Cameron Franklin, and with me, as always, is my best man, Chris Nicolay. How are you doing today?
Well, most of the time.
Except for literally last week.
And it's just Thursday.
Yeah.
It's not even a regular episode, so it doesn't really count, I guess. Kind of. But I'm good. Great things are happening.
Joining us because the train finally got out of the way, Shanine. How are you doing today?
Uh, Pretty good. The wind chill this morning was like minus 20, so that was fun.
It was 70 this weekend here.
Yeah, we're having a weird, like, it snows and then it melts and then it snows some more and then
Spring in
we
the
get a
north.
lot of wind and then it snows some more and
Yeah. Someone from work came
yeah.
in, they had a ton of snow on their car. I was like, dang. I hate you, Montana. Make up your mind. Can't do this. I have a bike coming. You better fix this.
And then with us wearing the coolest shirt around, Emma. How are you doing today?
I'm wearing the coolest shirt around. Great. I'm not complaining. It's a busy week ahead, but I'm getting ahead of my workload so that it's less busy. So not complaining in the slightest. I'm still in film school, so that's a positive.
Still holding on.
Still holding on.
This week we got Russell Crowe, childhood books, Ghost of Tsushima, and then escape rooms. And then we'll wrap up the cast with our top 3 Marvel supervillains. I would hazard a guess, objectively better than our lists of DC supervillains.
I
Minus
actually
Candyman.
know people in this one.
As always, listeners, you can find us on our social media, OneGeek411, or join our Discord server if you want to chat with us between episodes. You can also send us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com. You can find our show notes on our website, OneGeek411. And watch live on our Twitch every Monday night at 6:45 Mountain Time and be part of the post-show chat. Then you can also find the videos over on our YouTube where you can like, subscribe, comment, all of those things. Then, if you're a podcast listener, be sure to rate and subscribe wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. And then you can head over to our Redbubble store to check out that sweet merch. Let's go ahead and get into what we've been up to this past week. Emma, why don't you start us off?
I did my taxes. It was not fun, but now that it's done with, I feel accomplished. I also started a puzzle. That's a dinosaur puzzle from the Smithsonian. I did that after I did my taxes because I needed to not do adult stuff. So I sat around this morning going, dinos, dinos, dinos to myself. And I also, when I was doing my homework, my writing professor assigned to us after last week's episode, which now that I'm thinking about it, makes it sound like he listens to the podcast, but he doesn't.
That's the dream, though.
That would be the dream. He assigned us to pitch a character that we've made up for a story and then like make up a story to go along with that character. So I, being the lazy person I am, and already having done half the work, pitched to my professor the Candyman from last week's episode. If you skipped that episode, go back and listen to it, partly because I spent way too much time on that. So I pitched to the professor the Candyman for my homework because I didn't want to come up with something brand new, and the Candyman is genius. So I'm not going to apologize to my professor because the Candyman is awesome, and all he wants to do is destroy the dentistry world. So
I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna say this is definitely the case, but that's probably the most work that's ever gone into a top 3.
Yeah.
Janine, what have you been up to?
I've also been puzzling. I finished a Friends puzzle in the shape of like the Central Perk logo. There was a piece missing and it was really disappointing.
That's the worst.
Yeah. But other than that, I've been reading A Circle of Quiet by Madeline L'Engle, which is one in a series of autobiographical books by her. I didn't realize initially that it was autobiographical and just started reading it and was like, wait, is this real? Turns out, yes. But it's really great. It hits on some of the themes that I've loved from some of her other books, and it's just awesome, and I love it. And we got some new board games and tried out Unstable Unicorns, which was super fun.
Yeah. I say, what'd you think?
I've played it before, but it was very enjoyable. I lost both times we played. The first game was very close, and the second game, I was not coming back from it. It was rough.
Did y'all get the pandemonium? I've made my stance on puns well known. But
We did not use pandemonium at all.
I had one with some friends at PAX South, and I got stuck with pandemonium. And then I could just never get rid of it, and so I could never win because all my pandas were unicorns, and you have to have unicorns. Or all my unicorns were pandas, there we go. And you have to have unicorns to win the game. It was sad.
That's rough, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Shame.
Janine, you'll just have to become an Unstable Unicorns pro.
Definitely.
Chris, what have you been up to this week?
A little bit of everything. I also kind of did a puzzle.
Kind of?
I mean, Gunpla's a puzzle.
Oh.
So I'm officially delving into Gunpla. Went and bought a high grade, but while I wait for my master grades to show up, we'll be playing with those from there. Can't really see it. No. Yeah.
I was
It's
ask,
not.
is
It's
it
not
within reachable range?
It kind of is. It's on the shelf.
Okay.
It's on the
Post-show
shelf.
chat.
Yeah. I also turned on the Dota, the Netflix Dota anime. It's actually not bad.
I was wondering what you were like. I was excited when you put this in.
I know I talked about it like when it was first announced that they were doing this. But I'll talk about it a little more with Netflix's new plans coming up for the what year is it? 2021 year. And stuff. Other than that, yeah, drove a lot this week. A lot. Way too much. Yeah, just shopping. Doing a lot of shopping. A lot of shopping. And Janine, your capture card should be here this week.
Oh, nice.
I think. That's what Amazon tells me.
Cool.
For me, season 4 of Fall Guys started, and so I'm back into Fall Guys. And so played some squads with Chunk the Hut. Squads is a lot of fun, but basically the way that they do it is like the final round can either be the normal finals or it's a team match. And so it's like 2 teams against each other, and whichever team wins is the one that gets the crown shards. And so it's really intense. We had some not very close finals where we just got demolished.
You know what Jesus said?
Yep. And then we had one that I was really close because it was Hexagon, and I was in the final two and did not get it. So again, sucks to suck. But we'll have to do some more squads, get some people in from the Discord. So make sure to come and hang out, and hopefully we can take some crowns, because if you win as a squad, it counts towards Infallible, which is the trophy to get 5 wins in a row. And so
Give me a week.
I believe, Emma. I believe.
One more week, and then I can play some Fall Guys with you.
Oh, I got this.
But Chris,
Ooh,
what's that?
It's so pretty.
Ooh. For our audio listeners.
Oh,
And for me who can't read.
Candlekeep Mysteries, the D&D expansion.
Nice.
I don't what module? I don't know what to call these. Yeah,
I think it's a book.
a book, D&D book.
Yep.
I thought D&D books would be like the Forgotten Realms.
It has a title and it has pages. It looks like a book to me.
But you don't read it like a book.
Doesn't make it not a book.
I mean, true.
Doesn't make it not a book.
I feel like D&D has a more technical term for when they release these things.
Probably.
Like module or something. I don't know. I picked it up when I was pre-ordering my Lord of the Rings my like 6th copy of Lord of the Rings. But I'm really excited for the Tolkien illustrated version that comes out this October. Check it out.
Speaking of reading books, after our post show chat with Anna Reel last week, I got onto Kindle and was looking at what comic books they had for free, and they have House of M. So if you have Prime Reading, you can read House of M. And so I've been doing that, making my way through. It's really good. I'm about halfway through right now. And so the plot is definitely thickening. And then lastly, on Saturday, Chris and I were part of the Great Commander Showdown, and we brought honor to the podcast with our victory. And so
I felt a little bad. Not really. I don't know. Alar did his job. That's all I'm saying.
I got to steal one of Ryan's commanders. And so
I had to cast Alar like 3 times.
Yeah.
It was rough.
Yeah. But that was a good one. That should be on the Infinity Bros Twitch, and it will be on their YouTube soon. And we'll try to shout that out when it gets added to their YouTube. But yeah, so that's the big stuff that we have been up to. Listeners, as always, let us know what you've been up to. But let's jump into our discussion topics. Emma, what do you got?
Yeah, we have a bit of an update on Thor: Love and Thunder. And by update, I mean Russel Crowe is officially getting a cameo in the movie after being spotted on set. They were trying to keep it a secret until release, but failed after he was spotted on set. Alongside a couple of other actors who are reprising cameo appearances in the world of Thor. We don't know what exactly his cameo is going to be, but there are rumors and whispers that it's going to be something special, or at least different from others that have happened in the past. So, yeah, we now have a very minor DC crossover in the fact that we have a DC actor cameoing in a Marvel movie. So, yeah, that's something that appeared on Twitter recommended for you page this morning, and figured it was something to mention. So, yeah.
And I also want to say you've kind of buried the lead in this article. And maybe this was public knowledge already, but apparently Melissa McCarthy is also cameoing as like they're going to do like the dramatic retelling again, and she's supposed to be playing Hela.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that.
At this point, it's just the Thor is known for bringing in its cameos at this point. So Melissa McCarthy, Sam Neill, Matt Damon, and Thor's little brother, Luke Hemsworth, are all cameoing along with Russell Crowe. If you don't get that, the guy who plays Thor and Luke are brothers. So just for don't ask me why I know that. Please don't. So yeah, there's my little piece of news for today. I'm excited in general for Love and Thunder to come out because Thor is my favorite, and that has not changed in 9 years. So yeah,
This is definitely one of my top, like, announced Marvel projects.
Yeah.
So.
Especially after Ragnarok, with the complete turn that they took in tone. It seems like this is taking a similar chance on tone.
I'm just a fan of Taika, so
yeah, that too. That
Put Taika in charge of more things.
Taika, just anything I'm a fan of, just do it.
Yeah.
When one of your characters gets thrown in jail because he's a rock and he got beaten by paper.
I love the Ragnarok is so good. Keep Thor funny. That's all I want.
Keep Thor funny.
Janine, what do you got for us this week?
All right. This week, the beloved children's author Beverly Cleary died at the age of 104. So that's rather impressive. She wrote over 40 books, and I have at least a dozen on my shelves. I think I've read Dear Mr. Henshaw the most, and that one made a particular impact on me as a child, of just a kid going through struggles in life and doesn't have anyone really to turn to, so he just starts writing to his favorite author. I like it. So, what childhood author or books made an impact on you guys?
Tolkien.
I never would have guessed, Chris.
What a surprise.
Normally you wouldn't consider him to be a childhood writer, though. Just throwing that out there. I just read him during my childhood.
I mean, technically The Hobbit.
True.
Yeah.
Although I didn't read The Hobbit till later in life. Jumped right into Lord of the Rings. There's no time to spare.
I mean, two come to mind for me. The one that's been more long term, in the sense that I read the books as a kid and still reread them today, is the Aragon series and Christopher Paolini and those books, because it really got me into fantasy and that sort of alternate world where there's these different creatures and races and all of that, and really sort of opened my horizon to that world of fiction. And then the other one that was more really short term is the only word that I can think of for it, but in the sense of I read the books in elementary, middle school, and I sort of stepped away from that, but still had an impact, were the Percy Jackson books, and written by Rick Riordan, because those got me into Greek mythology, and those books sort of opened that world to me of taking classical literature and adapting it to modern day tales. I don't really read those books anymore, but I do remember just loving them and having those books open up that world of, you can take classical things and give them a new twist and make them relevant today.
For me, I mean, Harry Potter was a big one, and so that was. I mean, granted, I kept up with the beginning ones and then kind of fell out, and then I got back into them and like marathoned them all in high school, in like a couple months. But those were definitely ones that like were a big impact on me, like overall. And then also growing up, I loved the Animorph books by Catherine Applegate.
Yeah, I was just thinking of those.
So that was a series that apparently is 54 books with 10 companion books.
Yep.
I was not aware it was that big of a series.
I finally stopped reading them because
We talked about there's like 5 new ones every year on those Scholastic sheets.
Yeah.
I finally stopped reading them because the book covers freaked me out. So I couldn't keep track. Those and the Warrior books, I could not keep track of how many books there were.
I guess another one that we've talked about more recently here too is Brian Jakes, like Redwall and all the little animals. But I those I guess are even more so like at least as a childhood specific memory would be him, because those got me into fantasy well before I read Tolkien.
Yeah, I mean, other than Beverly Cleary, for me, there's obviously the Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah.
Like, those are never
Chronicles of Narnia.
not going to be on my favorites list. And
Always.
Yep.
In chat, we got some good ones. The Game Tonographers has Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Some classic ones. Anna Reel has Lewis Lowry. Says she fell in love with the dystopian genre through the Giver series. And then also, Anna shouts out the Aragon books. And then Chunk says R.L. Stein.
Yeah.
So that was one that I never got into, but like I knew a lot of people that really loved those, and that was kind of their introduction to like reading like series and things like that.
Yeah, they definitely got me a bit into that series reading world.
I only read them because they were part of the AR program and they were worth a lot of points.
Yeah, that's fair.
Got to game the system, Chris.
Yep. They were below my reading level technically. So I got in trouble for picking them because they were worth a lot of points. I was gaming the system. That's why I got in trouble.
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
But Lord of the Rings wasn't on the AR program, so I had to do that just for free, just for fun.
Listeners, hit us up with those books that meant a lot to you growing up. And Chris, what do you got for us this week?
So this week, a couple cool things. So recently at Tokyo's Anime Japan of this last Saturday, Netflix has announced that it will launch 40 new anime titles for 2021.
Wow.
Which is
Crazy.
a lot.
Yeah.
Somewhere in here. Like, I think it's like double, or I think they released like 21 in 2020.
That's also like one a week for the rest of the year. Like we're already like 12 weeks into the year, so
yeah, it's just crazy. And also this article for on The Verge does technically it's quoting like Bloomberg and Variety, but does note that the worldwide anime market reached $23 billion last year, and it is projected to grow to more than $36 billion by 2025. Big market. That's why it's my favorite.
I still need to catch up on My Hero Academia. I'm so far behind.
Should probably get on that.
Yeah.
Just
It's coming out fast. So this goes so a lot of this follows obviously Netflix has been seeing a lot of success from their anime series. such as Blood of Zeus, which came out last year. Obviously, we have Dota that just launched last weekend. What else? Dragon's Dogma. They did an anime series. Obviously, we have the anime stylings in Castlevania.
That's what I was thinking Dracula, and I'm like, that's definitely not the name of it.
No, but yeah, we're just seeing, and I like as I've mentioned, like anime just like is like if it's hard to do poorly, I guess. So like when you adapt something to live action or attempt to whatever, I think anime is just the ultimate adaptation for anything, just because you can do so much with it. So like that just breathes into the success of those things that you would have been probably skeptical if they did like a live action Castlevania, or Blood of Zeus,
or Monster Hunter. Oh wait.
We get Record of Ragnarok is coming this June. Yasuke is about an African samurai in the feudal era of Japan. Will premiere end of this month or next month. Technically, we're still in March. And then obviously we have the Resident Evil anime also projected to come, and it's just one of those things. Obviously, the Resident Evil movies are good, although they have a special place in my heart. But I am really excited to see it in anime form. It's just gonna be great. 40 new animes. Keep it up, Netflix. Proud of you. In other news, Ghost of Tsushima is also getting a movie adaptation. From the director of John Wick, Chad Stahelski, is partnering with Sony
Those
Films.
movies are on my list.
And Sucker Punch, to bring Jin's story to the big screen. I'm excited to see what they do with this. Just based on, since Sucker Punch is going to be a part of the project, based on their respect of the story and everything, I believe that this will be a great movie. Or Japan or the island of Tsushima is going to revoke their ambassador status. Depends.
Mm-hmm.
One of those.
One of those things is going to happen. Either it's going to be great, or they're just going to burn that bridge. We should note that Ghost of Tsushima has sold 6.5 million copies since its release last July, so it's doing pretty good. It is a wonderful game. I still have yet to finish it and start on Legends, but
it's on my list as well.
I just got a little burnt out. It's just, there's so much. I spent half the time just running around seeing everything. It's just too pretty to
pet all the foxes.
Yep, exactly. Except for you can't pet all of them. You don't always get the pet option afterwards.
Throw it away.
Right? I guess not every fox wants to be pet. You gotta respect the fox, right? You gotta respect them.
Gotta respect it.
But yeah. So we should also note that so Sony is working hard on adapting a lot of their game series into movies. I think this one is the most promising. Obviously, we saw Tom Holland starring as Nathan Drake for Uncharted. They're working on a HBO series for The Last of Us.
Yep. I cannot wait for that. That's the one that I'm most hyped for.
And yeah. I think Metal Gear Solid movie is in the works as well.
I can't wait for it to not make sense.
I feel that.
I never got into the Metal Gear Solid games because they're kind of, I don't know. They're slow because you had to. I just want to punch stuff, okay?
One of my favorite parts about Metal Gear Solid is that as a Kingdom Hearts fan, I can say at least we're not as crazy as Metal Gear Solid.
Just hide under a box.
Our games at least make slightly more sense.
That's what I remember from Metal Gear Solid. Just hide in the box.
Hide in the box.
Poof. Yep. Box.
Poof.
But yeah. Ghost of Tsushima. And obviously, I'm watching you, Sony. Well, granted, Sony's a Japanese company. I don't think they'd allow whitewashing in this case, but we're watching you.
it does feel really weird to be excited about this when the 3 Sony projects have not come out yet.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
the Uncharted movie's been like stuck in development for years. Like
Mhm.
we've heard good things about what's coming for Last of Us, but it's still not out. And so like it's like they're just adding more, and I'm more and more excited, but we have not seen any of the projects.
I mean, this is kind of just the era we are in. Announce everything and make everyone wait.
Yeah.
I mean, like, how much do we know about what Disney has in the works?
Yeah, I mean we
Like
know
a
Marvel
decade
through,
ahead.
Like 2024.
We know, like,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
We have like a, and we're excited for every little piece on that. So Sony's just
we
kind
are.
of capitalize on that. So I don't blame them. It's just, it's one thing. You get, it's smart marketing. Get that excitement out, because then you'd have to do limit. Like now, when it is ready to be launched, all you're doing is putting out shorter reminder trailers. Like, we're
Mhm.
still a thing. Still happening.
Also, I just realized I forgot to put out the tweet that we went live. So, oops, that's my bad.
Oops, that's okay.
You said
Because
you
I
were
also
ready on
just-
social medias. So-
We were ready, but I didn't hit send because it was ready to send. But I went to go grab our top 3. I mean, like we still have my discussion for tonight, but like I went to go get that ready and then realized it was still sitting unsent. So
Oops.
that's my bad, everyone.
It's okay because I also remembered another piece of news that I wanted to share,
Go for
but
it.
I forgot to write down. So
I'll allow it.
I have another piece of news that's probably more exciting for me than anyone else. In that, at least in this group, in that Bindi Irwin had her baby girl. So Steve Irwin's first grandchild is born and happy and healthy. And as an animal person who loves Steve Irwin, I am very, very happy about this piece of news. So Steve Irwin's first grandchild is born and happy and healthy. So that is my other piece of news.
A while ago, I saw them recreate a picture of like their mom when she was pregnant.
Yeah.
That was so cute.
Yeah. So I'm just pleased.
Mhm.
And I keep seeing all these pictures and I'm just like, oh, another animal person for the win. So
But in addition to those questions regarding Ghost of Tsushima, what video game series would you like to see brought to the big screen with the right director behind it? Because obviously we've seen a big flop, or Shanine at least watched the big flop and
Yeah,
warned us all of
yeah.
it.
We have not seen it. Shanine saw it.
Yep, exactly.
I'm still grieving about it. So it's a
Still
lot
dwelling.
of time.
That's why your Monday's been so rough, because you watched that last week.
Still recovering.
Still
the big
recovering.
flop.
I think with the right team, Horizon Zero Dawn would be a wonderful, wonderful movie.
See, I'm a little hesitant about that for being the person who vamped that game up because it's such an immersive, like it's it's a lot of it is just experiencing this world that is our future that has fallen apart with these robot animals. Like there's a great story in it,
Exactly.
but a lot of the like experience of that story is in like realizing you're in Yellowstone or Denver that's just ruins that have been taken over by these robot animals. Like it would have to be really well done for me to be left impressed.
Well, that's the question.
Yeah, it has to be.
Right.
So I have a crazy one for us. So there's this game called Marvel's Spider-Man. And I think with the right team, this could be a box office success.
You don't say.
Yeah,
I
it's
feel
a
like-
niche game. I think it would have trouble being like greenlit by Hollywood, but I really think this character has legs
I'm gonna
and could really get somewhere. in the
I'm gonna
media.
throw this out there. Even with a mediocre team, that'd probably be a box office hit,
Yeah.
whether or not the movie was good or not.
Looking at you, Spider-Man 3. Um,
Here's my actual answer, though. I would love to see Subnautica as a movie,
Monica would be
and partially because I would be absolutely all about it,
Isn't that just Shark
whether or
Week?
not it was good. I would just be like, I'm here. Sign me up. I don't care if it's good or not. I'm going to watch this.
Just watch Shark Week, Sharknado. There's like 8 of those.
But see, those are real animals. I don't like, I love my animals, but I want to see cool things that don't actually exist. I want to watch a spaceship crash into a planet and then someone spend their entire 2 hours trying to survive on a planet where these giant things 3 times bigger than a blue whale exist. Like, I want to see that.
So Jurassic World, okay, but just the sea ones, okay.
Janine, what do you think?
I don't know. Like, I know there are some Final Fantasy movies already, but I'd love to see more. And
Well, there's 2.
all right, I
Okay.
didn't know exactly how many.
So there's obviously the sequel to Final Fantasy VII, Advent Children, which is good. People have problems with it. I get it, but
I liked it.
I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing Cloud and the team again, and obviously his issues. And then they did before that they called it the Spirits Within. It's Final Fantasy, the Spirits Within. I mean, I'm not sure I'd consider it Final Fantasy in the sense that, like, it's Final Fantasy because it has a character named Sid in it. It has some Final Fantasy elements, I guess, but for the most part, it's not.
There
But
was
at the
also
time,
Kingsglaive for Final Fantasy 15. That kind of like that came out and accompanied that.
is that yeah, that's right.
It's I don't remember the title. I was like, I forgot what it was called, but yeah, it's like
There's
almost
that
2
too.
hours apparently. And so, but that one was really good. I enjoyed that, and it's kind of funny because it actually explains some of the story of Final Fantasy 15 better than Final Fantasy 15 did. Like, it's one of those that like you can't watch it while you're playing because there are spoilers, but like it's also weird to watch it afterwards and be like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but yeah, I agree. A good Final Fantasy additional piece. I don't know, which Final Fantasy would you like to see made into a movie?
I've never
I
even
mean,
played.
I haven't personally played any, and like the ones that I've seen the most of are like
10?
Sephiroth
Oh,
and
so
Cloud
7. So
and Zack.
oh, Zach.
Base. Sephiroth's super cool, so that one.
I think Tactics would make a great movie. With Ramza and Dalida and all of them. It's a crazy story.
So I'm gonna know this is gonna come off as sarcastic, given the things that we just talked about, but Monster Hunter. Like,
done well, right? Like,
yeah,
not
I
what
like
we
the-
have.
Done well.
Right, yeah, like in like the context of this question, like I legitimately want a Monster Hunter movie, and like I'm even on board with like just don't even give it a plot, like don't even try, just have it be fighting cool monsters and swinging around like.
That's how I
Like-
feel about Subnautica being made. I just want to see the cool monsters.
Like, you
Yeah.
can throw, like, don't try to tell the story you did tell, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, actually just write a story in the Monster Hunter world.
Yeah.
Instead of this weird
Make up your own story that could exist.
Rain of
within
Fire
that world.
twist.
Yeah, my husband's still walking around the house being like, I could have made it better.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Someone give me $1 billion.
That much money to make a movie like that.
Should have all on my XT4.
Yeah. In chat, we got some good ones from Chunk. Infamous, which I'm all on board for.
Oh, that would be a really good one.
Yeah. That's a good like twist on the superhero take.
Yeah.
Like you could either go back to Cole or Delson or give us a new conduit. Any of those. He also says Ratchet and Clank. Oh wait, they already did that.
It wasn't bad.
And I like that the remake of the game references it also being a movie. They did some good like fourth wall jokes there. Then
It knows what it is. That's what's important.
It knows what it is.
That's what's important.
Yes.
That's always important.
That and hiring editors. Those are the important things. And then also says God of War, Control, and Maneater. And after playing as much of Control as I've played, I'm hardcore in for a movie of that. I'm really liking that world.
100%.
So.
Okay, now I'm gonna throw this one out there then. I think Untitled Goose Game deserves a movie.
Peace was never an option.
Yes.
I'm down.
As long as they don't try to redeem the goose, I'm in.
Yeah. Don't redeem the goose.
Let
Just
the goose. Yeah, I don't want one of those villain stories where it's like, here's the goose's tragic backstory. Let the goose be evil.
nonsense.
They eat him in the end.
That's actually for my character pitch assignment. One of the things I literally said about the Candyman was, yeah, he doesn't have that bad of a backstory. He just has a bad thing against dentists.
He's just mean.
He just hates dentists.
This crotchety old man with a lot of money.
So for my thing for this week, I want to know, I'm sure we talked about this at some point on the podcast, but I don't know if it's come up since Emma and Shanine joined. But how do y'all feel about escape rooms? And then if you've done them, how'd it go?
I've done one escape room in my entire life, and it was a makeshift one that my college, Carol, did at some point. So it was mediocre at best. Like, the people who made it did the best that they could given their resources. So they get kudos for that. But it was pretty fun, all things considered. And I quite enjoyed it.
I love escape rooms. I don't know. They're just so much fun. I love them. I've done several. I love the themes. I love the puzzles. They're great. Also, at Christmas time, I found these like RPG escape rooms. So we could do them just like via Zoom.
Oh, that's really cool.
With my family and stuff. Yeah, It was
Nice.
super fun.
That's super cool.
Mark Rober ruined them for me.
With his
I don't
tips
know
on
who
how to
that
beat
is.
them.
Yeah,
We'll post the video in the Discord.
Okay, cool.
yeah. Because, yeah, like, it just, essentially it just pointed out just how straightforward they are. Granted, it's starting to feel like that way around, like, my third one or so. That's like, okay. It's like, there's obviously standards stuff that you have to do to be considered an escape room. And that's fine. But then it's like, then he really pointed out, I was like, oh. Okay. So then I did one after that. I was like, okay, never mind. These aren't that great. Themes, I enjoy the themes of escape rooms. Yeah. Doing them themselves anymore, I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, I really want to do some of the con ones. I've never like felt like waiting in line because I hate lines. But
Cue it up. Says the guy who's...
to be fair, I won things.
That's true.
So get wrecked.
Maybe that's also my problem with escape rooms. Is just I got out.
Yeah. But we've done several, and kind of going back to what y'all said, I really like seeing the creativity of them. And so like we did one that was like pirate ship themed, and one of the big twists was that the wheel of the pirate ship was actually a padlock.
Ooh.
And so like eventually we found the combo and like had to turn the wheel and then a key popped out. So like that was really cool. because it was something like, of course, like one of the first things we did in the room was spin the wheel. Like it's one of those that like
Yeah.
it's
You're
just so
gonna
natural.
go turn the wheel around.
Yeah, and then it was so cool to actually have that be part of it. And then I'm also a sucker for hidden rooms, to where like it's like surprise. There's a whole nother section of this.
I always in video games, I'm always like, is there a secret room around here somewhere? Probably not, but I'm
maybe
gonna
I
go
would
look for
enjoy
it anyway.
if that was like more common. Like it's like, yeah, you can solve the room itself in 10 minutes, fine. But like to have like I want it to be more like dungeon delving.
Yeah.
It's like there has to be hidden treasure in here. Like, let me find an obscure clue that has nothing to do with the actual escape and claim it.
And if you find it, you win a prize.
Yeah. Then I also really like gaming the system with them. Like that's some of my favorite ones of like, I can tell what this clue wants me to do, but I can figure out a different way to do it. Like we had one that was
You don't tell me what to do. I don't care what your intent was.
It was like this super complicated chess thing where you had to like set up a chessboard specific ways and the bottoms of the pieces were magnetized. Except because they were magnetized, they just stuck to where they were supposed to stick on the board. And so you could just like figure it out that way instead of actually having to figure out how the actual chess game needed to be set up and like what pieces actually needed to be on the board because of that. So like I really enjoy that side of it too. And so yeah, there's a lot of really cool ones around us that we've done several of, but obviously nothing recently because COVID. But so then as a follow-up, and this will be leading into the news story that I got for us, have any of y'all ever done the escape room in a box games like Time Stories, Exit, Unlocked, any of those?
I don't think so. No.
Nope.
So personally, I highly recommend Unlocked. And the reason for that is that you don't actually like for some of the exit games, you actually destroy the cards as part of it's like bend the card to do this, that kind of thing. But for the unlocked ones, you don't do that. And so it's a really easy way of like we've bought several, played them, and then given them to our friends who also play board games.
Just coming from Magic the Gathering backgrounds, those two options are backwards.
It just
because one is an ungame.
Yeah.
That should be the one where you're destroying the cards and doing weird things with it.
Yeah. It makes me think of the Jackbox games where they're just party games essentially. That's like the closest thing to an escape room in a box game that I've played, which is like they're like nothing alike. But my group of high school friends and I, when we get together like once a year, we'll spend a bunch of time playing Jackbox games, and it's just fun because it's fun and giggles and yeah.
I definitely want to look into Unlocked though, because knowing that you're like destroying cards and stuff in Exit, that's always what stopped me from buying it. I'm like, I don't want to do it once and then like it can never be used again. That's just silly.
It's like I spent money on this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How can I get my money's worth if I can only do it once?
So, and like I said, that's why I'm a big fan of Unlocked, because then you can share them, or you can like if you like are part of a game group, you can always like take it to the game group, and even if you've played it, you can kind of help other people get going, and then they can go through it and stuff like that. And so yeah, huge fan, highly recommend Unlocked. But with all that said, Exit has a new crossover coming, and Chris, I think this might change your mind and get you some hype, because they have teased in German, but they have it's because it's from a German company, so like that's, but they have teased Shadows over Middle Earth. as one of their upcoming escape room in the box with the German Lord of the Rings logo. So this is a like licensed escape room Lord of the Rings.
I'm intrigued. More so, I'll probably collect it and never play it. It's gonna go on my dedicated Lord of the Rings shelf next to the first edition Hobbit.
I'll just hold it forever.
No, I don't actually own a first edition Hobbit. If only yet. True. True. One day.
But yeah, I just think this is super
One
cool.
day
Again,
more.
I mean, Unlocked is my go-to, but I just really like the idea of seeing these crossovers, like getting that IP. Like you can, I mean, I was gonna say you can never go wrong with an IP crossover, but that's not correct. But I think that this is a fun way of bringing in like a lot of that lore, and then obviously there's so much with like Lord of the Rings in specific that you can tie in with, and there's so much of like even just in the actual like movies Lord of the Rings, there's so many like little opportunities that could have been an escape room kind of thing, and so I'm definitely really excited to see where this is going to end up.
Yeah, like I said, I'm all about the themes, and this sounds like a good theme.
With that, those are our discussion topics. Announcement wise, book club was last week. It's up on our YouTube. Everybody can go check it out. I gotta, like as we said earlier, it gets crazy.
It does get crazy.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit afterwards. I feel like we spent a whole bunch of the time on what was basically 45 pages of the book. Because we have a great discussion, and so highly recommend everyone to go check that out. And then with that, let's get into our top 3 list of the week, as submitted by the Mountain Nerds podcast. Also, shout out for resubscribing. But as submitted by the Mountain Nerds podcast, last week we did DC supervillains with Anna Reel. This week we're doing Marvel supervillains, and so over on our Twitter, because I remembered to post this, just not that we were live. We got some a shout out from Justin for Thanos, and then also for Doc Ock, and specifically shouting out the PS4 game that I'm telling you, the Spider-Man.
That could really do with
could
the
really take
movie
off.
adaptation.
Could really take off. And then Jarrett from the Infinity Bros says Pimtron, Kang, and Phoenix. And then with an honorable mention to the High Evolutionary, and literally any member of Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery.
Okay.
So let's go on and jump into our lists. And if you're in chat, whether on YouTube or in Twitch, let us know what your top 3 Marvel supervillains are. And we'll talk about them later on. And so, Emma, why don't you start us off? What is your number 1?
Let's face it, y'all. I'm basic. I like me a good orphaned ice goblin Loki. So I'm pretty basic. With my ice goblin Nordic Loki.
That's okay. Loki was my number 1 too. Mostly because of Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah. But also,
I'm not ashamed.
comic book Loki is just as fabulous. I'm here to say, just as fabulous. Costume 3 times more ridiculous, which makes it even better.
True.
And totally hyped up on the trickster aspect. Like they really dumbed down some of the tricksterness in the movies, but I'm living for it, both movie and comic book Loki. So I know I'm basic for that, but I'm gonna take it because it's facts. So there's that.
Janine, what is your number one?
Okay. My new number one
Backup
is
number one.
Wilson Fisk.
Yeah.
The Kingpin is honestly super terrifying. Just any character that seems super calm, like 99% of the time, and then just flips is so scary to me.
Yeah. 100% there with you.
And
I think he's like
to everything about that role. Like that was done so well in that series.
in like any series, I feel like the Kingpin is really well done. Typically, like I feel like he's typically been nailed. Just okay.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's smart and sneaky. Like he's the Kingpin for a reason.
Yeah. Chris, what's your number one?
My number one is Magneto.
Good one. Good one.
But at the same time, you might, depending on where you land in the Resistance, you might consider me a hero. So it just depends. Are you mutant and just very pro mutant?
Yeah.
I might put him on my hero list. Just saying. And that's one of the things. His ideologies just make sense.
Yeah.
Like
That's
the side
case
he
for some of
finds
my
himself,
backups.
he finds himself on. It's like I don't blame him.
Yeah.
People suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why. Maybe I just relate too closely to him.
To the not liking people.
Yeah. Well, it's like I tried. I kept to myself, and you guys still came after me. Like, what do you expect me to do? Y'all are dumb. Just want to be left alone.
So for me, since it made it all the way through, I'm going to take Thanos. And agree with Chunk the Hut. It's like looking back on like just the MCU as a whole. There we go. I skipped a few words there. It's crazy to think of like how early Thanos is teased and like all the setup and all that stuff before we even actually see him do anything. And like it's so meaningful how like Infinity War just starts with him wrecking Hulk and things like that. Like he's such a good big bad, and like they gave him years to develop as a villain and stuff like that. And so and then he does the villain thing well of he has a motive.
Yeah.
And like while he's crazy,
he's a zealot.
Yeah, he's a zealot. And so he actually has a philosophy that he's trying to uphold, and he actually has morals. He's not bad to be bad. He's doing like what he thinks is best for the universe. And so, yeah, so it's a big shout out to Thanos. And yeah, good job, MCU. Emma, what's your number two?
My number two, as well as my number three, both have very minor connections to Doctor Who. But minor is a stretch. But my number two is the Purple Man.
That was on my list.
My list too.
In part because he was played by David Tennant, but also in part because of how absolutely terrifying his skill set is if it could be applied to real life.
Yeah.
Like the fact that he can convince and essentially control people to do his will just through spoken word is, when he was in Jessica Jones as a character, what really like terrified me about that character. Like a lot of villains in like Marvel and DC are like their powers or whatever are so outrageous that it's like, okay, you've got this evil robot who just wants to destroy humanity, or this big evil guy who wants to collect these 6 Infinity Stones, 7 whatever, and snap half the universe out of existence. Scary, but the way they go about their goals, accomplishing their goals, is like not within the realm of reality. But then you've got the Purple Man who's like, I can make you do what I want just by using my words.
Mhm.
And that's terrifying to me. So it's just like, it's it's hard to distinguish from reality in many ways because it's not super outlandish. Like, it's essentially mind control in like a comic book way, but also just like so simple that it's scary. It's like, I don't, that can be used for a lot of abuse, which is what we see with the Purple Man, and it's done well and thought out. So,
Kind of going
and
against that, or against, not against that, with that, but against kind of the examples that we've gave previously. Purple Man does the thing of he's like the villainous villain. Like he has no redeeming qualities. He
Yeah.
is just an awful human being that
No.
happens to have powers and is like again played amazingly well. And yeah.
even if he didn't have those powers, he would still just be
Mhm.
a terrible human being.
Yeah.
Like, I was scared of David Tennant for a while after that role in Jessica Jones. I was just like, no, I don't trust you anymore, 10th Doctor. And then finally, I was like, okay, fine. You're still the big teddy bear. But yeah, go Shanine.
What's your number 2?
Okay. My backup's backup is
Sorry, Shanine.
I guess I'm gonna go with Venom.
Also on my list.
A lot of overlap this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't hate that movie as much as some people did. And I don't know. I guess he's just sassier than I was expecting him to be. And it was fun in like a murdery kind of way.
That's definitely not going on a t-shirt. Like that one's not gonna. We can't do that one. Yeah, Venom's great. Hopefully, we'll get a good screen adaptation.
Probably not. No, I'm just kidding.
Chris, what do you got?
Hella is my second one, and mostly because she is definitely a product of her childhood.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like yeah, you were brought up literally to enact war, and then you were sealed away
because you were too good at it.
Because you're too good at it, and I no longer wanted to do that.
Yeah.
And then when you
as
finally,
a reminder, as with like Greek mythology, Odin's the bad guy.
yes,
Yeah.
Like
it's Odin's fault. Everything is Odin's fault.
Everything is Odin's fault in Norse mythology.
right, but that's what I'm saying. But like Zeus in Greek mythology,
Yeah.
everything is also Zeus's fault.
Yeah.
Is the point I was making.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, in this case, everything is Odin's fault. You can't blame, like, Hela is a direct product of the bloodlust that she was brought up in under Odin. Just because he changed his mind, like, it wasn't a gradual thing. I don't know. It and just like kind of that understanding. So like then like feeling like that betrayal of everything. I just like her, and she's just strong to boot. She's just awesome. Really well portrayed in the MCU for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So my number 2 is the Tinkerer from Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. There we go. And so I really liked this newer character. I'm not sure if Tinkerer has been in the comics before, but this was definitely my first interaction with that character. And she has a lot of the really good Spider-Man tropes of the connection to the hero, the dual life as well. And so I really liked that, and I liked the playing off the Spider-Man trope of Spider-Man is a smart person, and so his friends are smart people. So when his friends become bad guys, they're smart villains, and they make cool things, and like just getting to see her tech and the ideas that she comes up with, I think was a really cool part of that game. Probably one of my favorite boss fights in a game. I just really liked how they handled that character. And just, yeah, overall, what all they did with her. So, highly recommend. Chris? Or not Chris. Emma, we'll go back up to you.
If I'm going next, I'm just going to steal everyone's third.
Yeah.
I'm just going to see if I can.
Ready, set, go. No. My number 3, again, very minor connection to Doctor Who, almost entirely inside my own head. But that would be MODOK, because I like to imagine that during some extent in his very long life, the face of Bo had an evil stint as MODOK, a computerized giant face and a floating container. So, yeah, I just like to imagine that MODOK and the face of Bo are the same person, just he had a rebellious stage, the face of Bo, and he went by MODOK for a while. And yeah. So that's my number 3.
I like it.
I mean, MODOK just always just reminded me. Granted, I'm not sure which came first, just of Shredder's actual identity.
Yeah, like the tentacle alien thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forget what that thing's actually called. But
Yeah. Oh, MODOK.
Shanine, what's your number 3?
Okay, speaking of Doctor Who connections, I'm gonna go with Nebula.
Yeah. She was an alternate on my list.
I don't know. I love the way they contrasted her character with Gamora.
Yeah.
As like the sisters, and seeing her with a bit of a redemptive storyline in the end. But yeah, she's a cool villain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, going back to like the Hela thing, very much a product of how she was raised.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
And modified. I mean, never mind
And
that
modified.
aspect of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely agree. So for my last one, I guess, I have picked the Taskmaster. He's kind of like this B villain. He's just known for training henchmen. And if you ever wonder how they get so many henchmen, because Taskmaster's been training them all in the background. But
This is his job.
I'd also like to see a Taskmaster Minions crossover.
I could see it.
Just throwing it out there. It's the only reason I'm actually picking him is because I think it'd be hilarious to see him try to train some minions, and then the minions just ultimately lead to his downfall, and and he just gets frustrated. Yeah. But one thing also noted, his power is like photographic reflexes. So he can mimic moves
it's one of my favorite power sets that like we see
Let me see it.
like brought up every once in a while. Is just that idea of yep, I saw you do this and now I can do it too.
Yep. Never train with him. He's such a pain
Why?
in the butt.
Yeah.
Poor Daredevil.
Poor Daredevil.
Poor Daredevil.
My last one is Killmonger from Black Panther. And so this is another great ideological villain who like has his goals and has worked towards them, and you kind of get to see the person who has been wronged by his own country and then is now trying to work his way back and is able to, I mean, briefly become the Black Panther. But I really liked how this was portrayed, and I know also was like Black Panther as a whole is just amazing, an amazing film. But like, I really liked how they handled Killmonger, and they gave him a lot of depth. And it's not just in overthrowing the country. It's like they did such a good job with that background and how to tie all that in and all that kind of stuff. So that's definitely an awesome one. And
I'd like to shout out
go for it.
Rick Shot, which is Hawkeye's unknown older brother, who has a pretty similar skill set to Hawkeye, except he turns to a life of crime. And that's good. There's my one shout out.
I'm gonna lie, if I had powers, I might be a villain. Undecided.
Undecided.
We'll leave it up to fate.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't have an obviously villain first and last name combo, so you're no Victor Von Doom.
Right.
just take my last name. It's German enough.
Listeners, hit us up with your top Marvel supervillains or DC supervillains. You know, we're not opposed to either. And then next week, for our top three, we'll be back continuing our series on our top three examples based on the fruit of the Spirit. And so we are on faithfulness. So I hope you all ready for Samwise to be back.
Again,
because Samwise
for like
is
the
just
millionth time.
Yeah, all of the good qualities. And so
I mean, written as the hero, just from a medievalist. It's going to embody all the qualities.
And so we'll be back next week, 6:45 Mountain Time, going through that. And as always, listeners, you can find us on our social media as OneGeek411. You can join our Discord server if you want to hang out with us between episodes. And then you can also shoot us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com. And you can also check out our Redbubble store if you want to get some merch. You can watch live 6:45 Mountain Time right here on Twitch, be part of that post-show chat, as well as find the videos over on our YouTube after the fact. And you can rate and subscribe wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. And then you can find our show notes over on our website, onegeek411.com. And then if you want to connect with us, you can also find us on our individual social medias. Mine is Humar Whittill.
Mine is I am not prepared, with an I in the prepared.
I'm the Hoot and Howl on Twitter and Hoot and Howl Tales, TALES on Instagram.
And I'm not so foreign.
Great week.
Wash your hands.
Read a book.